Ladies and Gentlemen, wir sind zurück. Ich hoffe, es geht gut. Ihr habt gute Mittagspause gemacht. Ich habe jetzt ein bisschen eine kleine Pause gemacht gehabt. Und es fehlen genau noch mir ungefähr 230 Stunden. Mal gucken, ob wir sie heute erreichen. Das wäre wahnsinnig, weil der bin ich monetarisiert. Und sonst ist es wahrscheinlich Mittwoch, weil ja Montag und Dienstag außen passiert auch was. Ein bisschen so Clickbait, wo man ein bisschen noch sich anschließen kann. Dann ist man durch, genau. Also ich schaue mir noch das ein bisschen schneller an. Zack, dann gehe ich mal in die Live-Analyse rein. So. Warten wir noch eine Minute. 15 Uhr. Perfekt und pünktlich.
Let's set the record straight. There's no argument over the choice between peace and war. But there's only one guaranteed way you can have peace, and you can have it in the next second. Surrender. Admittedly, there's a risk in any course we follow other than this, but every lesson of history tells us that the greater risk lies in appeasement. And this is the specter our well-meaning liberal friends refuse to face, that their policy of accommodation is appeasement. And it gives no choice between peace and war, only between fight or surrender. If we continue to accommodate, continue to back and retreat, eventually we have to face the final demand, the ultimatum. And what then? Well, Nikita Khrushchev has told his people he knows what our answer will be. He has told them that we're retreating under the pressure of the Cold War, and someday, when the time comes to deliver the final ultimatum, our surrender will be voluntary, because by that time, we will have been weakened from within spiritually, morally and economically.
So, jetzt schauen wir noch den zweiten Teil uns fertig an. Ich denke, ich mache jetzt noch eine Reaction, das ist sicher noch eine gute halbe Stunde, also sind wir sicher noch 45 Minuten dran. Dann schauen wir, dann denke ich, mache ich auch einen kleinen Break wieder und dann komme ich heute Abend wieder um 19 Uhr. Naja, ich muss sagen, ich bin ein bisschen fast auf der Zielgeraden, ein bisschen übermotiviert, aber ja, das ist gerade die Sache, genau. Okay. Ist es besser so, vom Ton her? Oder muss ich ein bisschen noch anders den Ton machen? Ja, ich denke, so ist es gut. So. Also ich höre mich gut. Okay. Dann machen wir ein bisschen besser. Dauer. So, hört man mich besser? Gut, dann gehen wir mal rein. Teil 2.
So corners is great. So if you come in here and you're like, okay, this is my...
Definitiv. Ja dann, ich hoffe, dir geht es gut. Alles Paletti bei dir. Wir sind gerade im Home Defense, also sein Haus zu verteidigen. Wichtig ist, Situation kontrollieren, nicht eskalieren. Das ist das Motto dabei.
My house, right? And you come in, how long am I going to hit this corner for?
Just a snapshot.
Enough for you to see.
Enough for me to see.
Und ich sag dir, Elan, freut mich, dass du da eingeschaltet hast. Super. Und da, du weißt ja, wie es läuft. Genau, dann schauen wir jetzt mal weiter.
Nothing. Nothing. Nothing.
Okay, warte, machen wir noch eine kleine Umfrage noch dazu. Natürlich, selbstverständlich. Das ist ja bei mir obligatorisch. Entschuldigung.
For you to see.
Enough for me to see.
Ein bisschen da. Wer hat eine gute Taschenlampe bei sich zu Hause? So, noch die Frage ist jetzt draußen. Wer hat eine gute Taschenlampe zu Hause?
Work my way around, but once I'm done, I'm turning it off. Now you can also say, like, once I enter the room, I'm going to keep it on, do everything I need to do, collapse back down, and then I'm going to go off, right? Yep. Absolutely. But if you're a homeowner, you know what I mean, and it's night out, you might not be, just going through a house, just like you guys did in your video, amazingly free flow CQB and the shit out of it. You know what I mean? Like, you might be like a little bit more like, oh, dude, what the shit? Okay, all right, cool, let me see this. And you might be using some of that distance and angles to your advantage, right? And seeing farther in the room and being off of something. So it might not always go exactly like, we see it in a movie, right? Like probably the best movie for CQB is probably The Expendables. You know what I mean? You know what I mean?
Wer kennt den Film Expendables, macht ein Herz rein.
So, no, like something like that. Might not be like a movie or, seeing some high level, team going through and doing it. Because that's not the same environment. It's not the same operating environment. It's not the same scenario. It's not the same anything. So it might be a little bit different. But yes, generally speaking, if you were going to come in, I could hit that, keep it on all the way around and down. But if I'm not doing it quite like that, I'm going to flash what I need to see. I'm going to turn it off, move where I know I can move, see the next thing, see my dead spaces, and do all that. So one thing I think people need to think about is how often you guys do stuff like this and you think, hey man, when I see this room, what is the thing you think about in this room?
The dead spaces. I'm concerned about the hallways and the darker areas. If I take 5 or 6 steps, the room changes quite a bit.
There we go, right? So when we're actually searching, right, or clearing, or whatever you want to call it, we look for, also in addition to dead spaces, we look for people and portals. So I'm not just looking for people, I'm looking for portals also. That could be that open door right there.
Interessant, ich beende mal ganz kurz die Abstimmung. Ich empfehle euch, kauft euch eine gute Taschenlampe. Das hilft sehr viel, besonders wenn ihr mal eingebrochen bei euch sollt werden. Könnt ihr halt so besser die Situation beurteilen. Und eine gute Taschenlampe heißt, dass ihr vielleicht bewaffnet ist und ihr könnt euer Kontrahenten auch gut blenden. Weil dann sieht er euch nicht genau und da könnt ihr mit ihm ein bisschen spielen, wenn ihr gut seid.
To a hallway. That could be this one going into the kitchen. That could be that deep one back there.
Aber wie gesagt, Kontrolle, nicht Eskalation. Also versucht nur die Situation zu kontrollieren, bis die Polizei nachrückt. Ihr seid nur hier, euer Auftrag ist nur, dass da kein schlimmer Schaden passiert, dass ihr dritt oder euch selbst schützen könnt und euer Eigentum kann man im schlimmsten Fall bei der Versicherung ersetzen. Also natürlich scheiße, aber der Papierkram, jemand angeschossen zu haben, ist immer größer. Denkt dran.
So a lot of times what people do is they only see to the first limit, right, that wall. And then when they hit that door, they don't look in depth past it. So that's probably something you really need to do, and that light is really going to help you out, because when that light hits the wall and then all of a sudden drops back and comes back, your eyes are going to avert that way too, so it kind of helps us that way.
It's kind of like driving a car in the dark for the first time. It's when you kick those headlights on and it's pitch black and it's raining, you don't just want to be looking at where your tires are currently 5-10 yards in front of you. You want to be paying attention to the cars ahead of you that may be hitting their brake lights, a deer on the side of the road that's 50 yards up and it may be jumping out in front of you, but you need to see in depth, not just the immediate issue.
Fair enough. Yep, I would agree with that. Look into the turns, sure. Like we say, look around the corners.
Das ist ein guter Punkt gewesen.
Just look around the curves. Yep. Same thing, man. We said we're going to do the how now. So basically we're going to do, Josh, you up first?
I am.
Cool, so Josh is going to come in first. He's just going to kind of break down this room, walk through it and search it and use his light however he would, and just kind of show us what he would do, then we'll critique it and talk about it. And Drew will do the same thing. So just so you know, we, with our weapons, we all got in, locked the slides.
Don't go? Oh, ja.
To the rear, there's no
So
ammo
seid ihr
in
mehr, wie
there,
es gewohnt
slides
ist.
forward, hammers down, guns cannot go off. We made sure that they're all safe and we're good to go. So Josh's gonna do that anytime you want, man. So we'll just stand back here while he's doing that. On you.
I have light behind me, so I'm going to activate my light as I'm biting off as much as I can, only moving as fast as I can process. Corner-fed room. I'm going to check. I know that there's a closet and an open door behind me. So before I bite that off, I'm going to visualize what I can. That closet is clear. That can come off because I'm not backlit anymore. I can see depth into the bathroom and call it.
Fair enough. Yeah, let's have Drew do it too, and then we'll talk about it together.
Genau, immer dieses Pieken. Sehr wichtig, haben wir im vorigen Video gesehen. Aber da macht es wieder. Das ist eine super Sache. nicht so gut. Ich würde nicht sofort in den Raum reinlaufen, immer kurz einmal rundherum laufen und dann erst reingehen. Also habe ich die Möglichkeit, immer den Raum einzusehen, bevor ich ihn eingetreten habe. Weil immer in dem Moment, wenn einer da auf der Seite steht, kann auch sein, dass der gerade mit einem Schläger bereit steht, pum, hast du was auf dem Kopf. Deswegen immer zuerst mal schön das Crossing machen und dann reingehen.
Cool. Then you go in and check the bathroom, right? Cool, guys.
Hat er zwar gesagt in seinem Training, ja, es ist zu kompliziert, aber ich sage ganz ehrlich, das ist nur einmal rüberlaufen und sich drehen dabei. Da habt ihr das schon.
So a couple things. You tended, well, I can remember, you had the light on a little bit more, and he tended to turn it on and off a little bit more, right? So you were more constant, he was more strobing. So for this, and again, you know, we're in a house, it's daytime outside, right? So, but for the most part, I'm gonna use that strobe out there. And something cool that I heard, it was actually some cops in Phoenix area, right? So he had said, when we were doing a CQB class, he was like, you have the rest of your life to clear that room. I was like, oh, dude, that's pretty good, right? Now, the other side of it is like speed. We wanna go fast when we're doing stuff. But you gotta look at, you know, you gotta weigh speed and accuracy and all this other stuff and so on and so forth.
Ich sage immer so, Kontrolle bevor Schnelligkeit. Ihr seid nicht im Angriff, ihr seid in der Verteidigung. Ihr kennt euren Raum, euer Kontrahenten in der Regel kennt nicht euren Raum. Das solltet ihr einfach im Kopf haben. Ihr seid in der überlegenen Position. Im Gegensatz zu dem anderen, wo da rein ist. Weil er kennt es nicht. Er muss zuerst mal diese ganze Situation analysieren. Ihr habt die Situation unter Kontrolle. Aber schaut einfach, dass ihr das Wichtigste schützt, eure Familie und euch selbst. Punkt. Wenn es euer Fernseher ist, scheiß drauf. Okay, wenn es eure wichtigen Sachen sind, okay, Versicherungen sind da. Aber Menschenleben, nein, dann ist es natürlich eine ganz andere Situation.
And sometimes speed is security. But I would probably say for people that if you're not, you know, practicing these kind of things on a regular basis, as in like several hours out of your day, a few times a week, because, you know, it happens to be a job, you might need to process that info, right, a little bit more. You know what I mean? You might want to take it a little bit more. So my first thing would be, and I hate using the term slow down, but I would ask you guys, moving like that, do you think if you saw something went, huh, you know what I mean? Like, do you think there's that opportunity you might have missed something at the speed you guys were moving?
Certainly.
Yes. Okay, right? Another thing, this doesn't have any furniture in it. So what happens when we add furniture? A lot more stuff. So one, I would say, hey man, tone it back a little bit and always go at a speed where you can think and feel your way through it. So my general thought on this is that if I'm out, you know, here, and again, you know we got a lot of light, but generally for this, I'm gonna hit this, right? Coming down. Good, then I'm gonna come through and do whatever I need to do. Now, you're by yourself and, you know, there's gonna be a lot of people.
Besonders wenn ihr euch auch schon bewegt in diesem Stil, habt ihr den ganzen Vorteil, der andere weiß, oh, der hat was drauf, der ist gefährlich. Vielleicht ist es besser, dass ich mich zurückziehe. Kann auch als Abschreckung dienen, wenn er merkt, wie ihr euch bewegt, ob ihr kompetent seid oder nicht.
People out there that say, well, here's how I would do it. Like, first off, you're by yourself, dude. We're just clearing your house by yourself and checking out and searching stuff, right? There's no such thing as a perfect CQB run, right? That was only in the movies. So you're always gonna have some level of exposure, right? But we're gonna minimize as best we can. So with this here, probably getting over here is a pretty good idea, right? Especially if that's a closed closet and then you open it, what's a deep closet? It's a giant walk-in. So we need to get to a place where we can check here, check here. If I'm going back and forth on these, I'm not gonna have my light on the whole time. Reason being, that swinging back and forth, someone's obviously gonna tell, because if I go like this and turn it off, they don't know where the light's at now. But if I do this, they know exactly where my attention is focused.
Guter Punkt.
So maybe this would be a good chance, you know, here to check out and strobe some stuff, right? So that initial look in the room as you guys come in, yeah, absolutely collapse that down. Then from there, once I need to start seeing stuff, snapshot it, and work your little angles like that. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So that would kind of be the biggest thing, I think the biggest takeaway from that. Other than that, remember, you got time, right? Unless, you know, if it's, you know, that shit hit the fan kind of thing, right? If you have a driving force and your family member or somebody's life is in danger, imminent danger of life, limb, or eyesight, you know, and you have a driving force where you know exactly where that's coming from, then take your time. If you have that, you need to get there to stop that potential harm. Make sense?
Yeah.
So that's a different story. And when that happens, we accept a lot.
Idealerweise sage ich 1000 Lumen, weil das macht weh in den Augen, aber sagst schon ab 500 Lumen ist man schon auf gutem Wege.
More risk. But if we don't have those things and we're just searching and just making sure my home feels right, and I'm like, you know what, something doesn't feel right. Let me check everything and be sure. Then let's take our time and do it right. Right? One bad decision, one little missed thing could be, you know what I mean? Well, just like that cop said, you have the rest of your life to clear that room, you know, which I think is very applicable in a lot of situations.
So in terms of how you would like train this or practice this at home, like what we just did right there, there was no stimulus, there was no driving force.
Yeah.
We didn't even know if there was internally we know there's no targets in here for us to look for or anything like that. But how we would navigate that would be radically different if we, you know, heard a scream or if we heard a window crack or a window break.
Yeah.
If you knew that there was something going on, how you would navigate all of that would be radically different.
Yeah, if there was, are you talking about that driving force?
Yeah. So like,
if I have a driving force and it's coming from this room and my kids, how many times have your kids ever screamed and you're just like, dad mode, right? And you take off, right? I had the other day, like I remember my daughter screamed, we were outside. It was like a couple months ago. And she screamed, I about didn't even open the storm door, the glass thing. I pretty much almost went right through it. You know what I mean?
I can imagine you like
just like head just, you know,
Kool-Aid man.
Pretty much. Yeah. Kool-Aid man. So like I went for the door and I just kind of missed it and was like, and just busted it. But that's you're going, right? If you don't have those type of things, let's take it slower. But yeah, if you do, you are going right there. You're blowing off a lot of stuff because think of it like medical, right? What's the first thing in a March algorithm?
Massive hemorrhaging.
Treat the immediate threat, that massive hemorrhage first. You find that immediate threat and you treat it. And in some ways, it's kind of comparable. If you have an immediate threat, like I'm just gonna go. Like, screw all this, I'm going in, I accept the risk, but I have to protect that person, right? So, or at least get in there and figure out what the hell's going on. And hopefully it's, oh, kiddo, don't scream like that. You just scared the shit out of daddy. I thought I was gonna get a CONUS kill. You know what I mean? Like, hey, bro.
So if you're just searching, if you're just suspicious, slow it down. Don't expose yourself more than you have to. If there's some sort of stimulus and you've got that driving force, you're pushing hard.
So when we're going really, say we have that driving force and we're pushing hard, are we gonna pick up on all the, I don't know what to call them, like environmental cues?
Yeah, you're not checking under the curtains to see if there's shoes sticking out under the
you're not
curtain.
looking for light changes.
Right.
You're not listening nearly as much to like the little subtle things, like maybe like a door starts creaking or you heard a footstep or heard some guy like clear his throat or something, you know, like whatever. But if I'm going like balls out like that, I'm not gonna think about those things because I don't give a shit. I'm getting there. But when we stop and we take our time, maybe I'll recognize some stuff a little bit more and maybe I'll notice.
Das ist der Punkt, also nehmt euch die Zeit, weil das ist das meistens, was man halt in Filmen sieht, die kicken halt Türen ein, bam, bam, fertig und alles. Der Punkt ist, du hast so viele Eindrücke, so viele kleine Details, wo du achten musst, dass du diese Geschwindigkeit das gar nicht verarbeiten kannst. Deswegen ist es wichtig, dass man langsam reingeht, wirklich die Situation kontrolliert geht. Du hast alle Zeit der Welt. Wenn deine Liebsten alle in Sicherheit sind, dann hast du eigentlich deinen Hauptjob gemacht. Und nachher gehst du mehr die Situation erkunden und schaust du halt vielleicht, ob du Informationen noch schnappen kannst. Aber Priorität, deinen Liebsten und deine eigene Sicherheit. Der ganze Rest ist ersetzbar. Euer Leben nicht. Und das von euren Liebsten ebenso nicht.
It's like my couch wasn't that far out from the wall. That's changed. Maybe I notice like, is that a shadow right there? Hold on. There shouldn't be a shadow there because it looks like 2 feet under a doorway. You know what I mean? Or something weird. You just never know. But if we give ourselves the time to do that, that can make a big difference, right? And that could be the difference, you know, legally too, which is, I'm not the expert on that. I'm not a cop, or a judge or a DA or the Second Amendment Foundation who probably knows a lot more than me on that. But I would imagine the more information you have to back up those decisions you made, and the more you can pull and say, I saw this, I recognize this. Well, legally, that's really important. And then also it allows you to make a good decision. Because at the end of the day, you got to be there for your family. right? So
This makes me want to go back home and make sure that the lights that we leave on at night, like the lamps, are in the strategic places to show me if there is light movement in the main room outside of my bedroom, or a light at the end of a hallway so that anything that passes past it, I can pick up a shadow, things like that. Just little intricacies and nuances to your house that...
And some of those things are even more applicable.
Auf einer Seite sage ich auch, lebt. Also, wenn man so einfach zu extrem zu denken, dann wird man paranoid. Und wenn man paranoid wird, dann wird das gefährlich auch. Punkt ist, macht's unterschwellig. Ihr seid dafür fähig, nimmt's ruhig, aber übertreibt auch nicht.
For the average individual before you ever decide, I'm going to go take a CQB class or I'm going to go dry fire my own house. If you don't have an understanding of how to secure your home, which, by the way, he did a video on how to secure your home, which is very informational. Go check that out. We'll make sure we link it here in the video. If you don't have an understanding of the layout of your home, and man, if it's the middle of the night and I kick on a light, do I already know no one can hide behind that corner? There's not enough depth there, so I don't need to put my back to something else. Pretty good first step. We spend a lot of times in our homes before you get into what are the fundamentals of CQB.
yeah, and it's, yes, I agree with that. And so that's something that people, if you lived in your same home for 20 years, would you know that stuff?
You should.
Yeah, if you live there for 20 years, you don't, like, you just notice stuff without even having to think about it. You learn stuff over time. Well, maybe not take 20 years to figure all that out. Then just go think about it for a weekend, or just consciously have that in your thoughts. And then you'll probably realize things a lot sooner. It's just good things to think about. Yeah. So.
Or even if you live in like an apartment complex, it's not just inside your house.
Yeah.
Like anytime you typically take the same route up the stairs or whatever, or past a bush, just if you just know, this makes me wish I would have done things so much differently back when I lived in apartments and complexes. Like if there's shadows that are always there or corners.
So, jetzt gehen wir mal in die Demo rein. Genau, das macht's, wenn blendet. Also ihr seht euren Kontrahenten nicht, ihr seht nur die Lampe. Und das irritiert euch. Stell dir vor, ihr kommt so um die Ecke und der Einbrecher merkt, dass hier so um die Ecke kommt. Entweder hat er gerade Panik, macht einen ganz großen Blödsinn, oder gibt sich gleich. Das ist typisch Amerikaner, gleich in diesen Raum reinlaufen. Ich bin immer, macht das Crossing vorher. Weil der Raum ist nun bekannte Elemente trotzdem drin, falls der Böse drin ist, habt ihr ein Problem. Ihr wollt die Distanz zum Bösen so gut wie möglich behalten. Besonders das System von Israel ist halt für Miliz ausgelegt und da lernt man in dem Fall, der hast du immer auf der Seite, gut, du weißt, du kennst ja dein Haus, ja, da wird es natürlich schon Sinn machen, direkt reinzugehen.
That made sense, kind of why you guys both kind of had your way of doing it. So talk me through yours first, Drew.
Okay, so as soon as I came out, I kind of kept the white light on, but also like down here, I didn't have it down on the floor where it was just like telegraphing how close I was getting to the corner. The reason why I checked this first was because it's kind of open. These two were still closed. I didn't see light moving underneath the doors, so I was like, that's the scariest area, so I'm gonna check it. And then I backtracked to this one, and I turned my light off in between, so I wasn't just like, I'm aware of what the space is. It's dark. I can move within that darkness without having my light on because I know where everything's at. And then pop this door, pretended like it was somewhat dark in there. There was like a lamp or something on, and cleared this room, came back out, checked this.
Ich würde eher systematisch machen. Rechts, links, rechts. Einfach leise bewegen, entschlossen. Weil das auch natürlich deine Ohren, falls irgendwas hörst, das um die Ecke kommt, kannst du immer noch drauf reagieren.
This one, which don't know if I should have went to this side, because I mean I know that door is closed.
Yeah.
So I figured it's probably good. Check this one and then move on to what I've already cleared.
Fair enough. Fair enough. And Josh, what about you? You did things a little bit differently.
Right, Drew, that makes sense. I just took it door by door and addressed one at a time. I didn't want to be in a doorway, so as I was throwing a door open, I'm sure you did the same thing, trying to not be in the threshold as the door was opening. Give it just a second to breathe and then move in. Obviously not needed to actually turn any lights on in there, but coming out, I I can't remember if I did this exactly, but I should have been paying attention to, am I backlit and is there darkness that I am bringing myself to, which as I exited that, I know that I was turning the light on both to see in depth here as well as to stop myself from being backlit, because I did change that environment and now I'm standing in the light. So I just did it a little bit differently and hit this first door and then moved across to the bathroom.
We'll say if that was my house and I was just suspicious, there was no driving force, I probably would have went a lot slower and just stopped and listened in the darkness, because people make noises.
Yeah.
Things make noises.
Definitiv, alles macht Lärm und da sind die Ohren auch natürlich ein wichtiger Berater. Aber ich würde trotzdem systematisch die Räume gemacht, wenn du jemand hörst, wo trotzdem um die Ecke ist, das hörst du ja. Weil du bewegst dich extrem leise in dem Moment, wenn du denkst, dass etwas Feindliches oder Gefährliches in deinem Haus sein könnte.
Done that too, yeah. You know,
Das könnt ihr auch mit Taschenlampe machen. Also es gibt ja diese großen alten Taschenlampen, die könnt ihr auch eine Schulter haben, weil viele Länder sind natürlich Schusswaffen nicht erlaubt. Die funktionieren auch super. Falls ihr irgendwas selten sehen, könnt ihr euch da bereitstellen und immer eine auf den Kopf hauen. Besonders ich euch empfehle, immer links oder rechts zu sein. Weil die meisten machen genau eben diesen Punkt. Die laufen gerade rein und du bist dann gerade auf seinen Hinterkopf und kannst ihnen eine geben. Fertig.
the wife is in bed is like, I think I hear something.
Literally pause for like 30 seconds sometimes, and then.
So we always had sills. You guys ever heard that?
Yeah.
Stop, look, listen, smell. Right? So like, you go on patrol, you get dropped, whatever, and you stop. You do sills for like 5 minutes, right? And then you continue your patrolling or whatever. I do it too, like, I'll hear my daughter, I'll sneak up on her and I'll stop. Because I love, me and my daughter, we play around a lot. And like, I'll just stop. And then what does she do? Okay, no one's there. So then she'll move and make a noise, but like, got you, right? So little stuff. But yeah, you can always just let the situation develop a little bit, right? So a couple things you guys did differently was you had constant on coming down the hallway. Made sense. We're in a linear thing right here, right? Or like a tube, you know what I mean? It's a hallway. So coming on down here, and then you decided I'm gonna clear this. Well, yeah, it made sense. You know, if you got a reason to do it, absolutely. So kind of familiar with it. Let me just check that real quick so I can, you know, feel warm and cozy about it, warm and fuzzy.
Airsoft-Waffen haben halt den Vorteil, dass sie können abschreckend wirken. Aber da müsst ihr halt versuchen, die Situation so zu kontrollieren, dass ihr nicht in diesem Szenario seid, dass ihr eine Waffe habt. Also, dass ihr nicht die Waffe abfeuern müsst, weil dann ist klar, dass ihr nur blufft. Der Punkt ist, habt vielleicht noch ein gutes Backup dabei. Vielleicht eine Taschenlampe, wo ein bisschen schwerer ist, oder ein Schlagstock oder sonst was, wo euch dann als Backup dient, falls der andere da ist. Und besonders versucht auch eine Türe auf eurer Seite zu haben. Weil der Punkt ist, falls der jetzt wirklich mit einem Messer auf euch zurennen sollte und sagt, jetzt, der gut, der will eigentlich auf euch los, dann könnt ihr noch die Türe zuknallen, vielleicht noch zuschließen, dann braucht er wieder eine Zeit lang, bis er da rauskommt, und da könnt ihr euch vielleicht noch verpissen, bevor es noch schlimmer wird, weil die Polizei weiß ja, wo er ist. Und da muss der andere, entweder wird euch hinterherrennen, aber ihr könnt ungefähr in dieser Zone bleiben und so auf die Polizei, sobald sie kommt, auf euch aufmerksam zu machen. Es kommt natürlich, wie lange es ist, aber versucht immer den Abstand zu halten zu der gefährlichen Person, dass ihr immer halt die Kontrolle habt und Zeit habt zu reagieren und immer einen Backup-Plan, um was zu sehen. Aber eine Airsoft-Waffe ist natürlich abschrecken, weil sie sieht aus wie eine echte. Und das Gute ist, falls ihr halt auch abdrücken müsst, könnt ihr auf seine Augen zielen. Das tut natürlich weh und kann vielleicht sogar blinden lassen. Aber wenn ihr damit abdrückt, dann habt ihr klar offenbart, das ist nur ein Bluffer. Aber Bluffen kann da auch helfen in dieser Situation.
And then we'll go in and do this other stuff. Fair enough. But I will say, for this, probably good.
Weil es geht wirklich, wie ich sage, Situation kontrollieren, nicht eskalieren. Das ist einfach dieses Grundprinzip von diesem ganzen Home Defense.
Idea to have that constant on until you can get to here and confirm, hey, there's nothing down there. It helps you out, because if you see on the camera, like, what is that person gonna see? They're like, you know, it's not a whole.
So. Ich würde jetzt schon mal ganz kurz eine Frage euch stellen. Das machen wir nicht, das macht keinen Sinn. Ich habe euch eine kleine Frage reingestellt. Würde eine Airsoft-Waffe als Abschreckung funktionieren? Was denkt ihr?
A lot, but at least you're holding that hallway a little bit with as much as a light can, you know what I mean? And yeah, you're good. So I probably would have said that's a pretty good option in this setup.
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
So in the first CQB video that we did, one of the big things that you told us was you catch a lot of guys clearing like this. Granted, it was during the daytime, and how that's kind of setting you up for failure, to keep it down just in case, you know, to minimize mistakes. How do you navigate that in the darkness whenever you're trying to balance seeing straight in front of you and keeping a light on it? Let's say you were using a weapon light, which this is another pro of using a handheld, right, instead of your weapon light to search. But how do you, like, are you leaving your light on and bringing it down and then bringing it up? Like, what's the balance there?
Yeah, so a lot of people will do that. They'll, you know, as they get to a little part, they search down and up, and they go to the next part, up and down, right? I don't tend to do that. I like to clear with my eyes, not the gun. But what's the most important thing we need to see?
Würde ich auch sagen, deswegen ist es auch immer gut, wenn die Waffe 45 Grad unten ist oder einfach ein bisschen weiter unten und ihr einfach mit euren Augen scannt. Ich bin auch eher auf seinen Punkt, die Waffe ist das Instrument, die Augen sind die Beurteilung und das ist immer das Erste, was euch hilft, diese ganze Situation zu kontrollieren, wenn ihr jetzt zuerst mit euren Augen ist. Die Waffe ist am Ende des Tages nur ein Werkzeug, es ist nicht euer Auge. Eure Augen sind, was die analysieren und da beurteilt man und versucht die richtige Entscheidung zu treffen. Ist natürlich eine Hochstresssituation sowas. Ich will es nicht zumuten, dass ihr es richtig macht, aber zumindest mal gehört haben und einen Plan zu haben, wie man es macht, hilft schon sehr viel.
See on somebody when you're clearing.
Hands.
Right. Hands and waistband.
Yep.
Right? Because that's where people carry stuff. Okay. So general rule of thumb is I probably want to be able to see where the floor meets the wall. And these lights have a good amount of spill. So even right here, if I shine that where the floor meets the wall, I'm illuminating up above the doorknob. You know what I mean? Like 2/3, 3/4 of the way at the door. I'm good. Even with the beam at the very bottom, I'm still getting decent stuff there. So if I see something, then I bring it up and I can identify it, right? And do what I need to do. But a lot of people get wrapped up like I see at this level, not when we're doing this stuff. I don't see here, I see here, right? That T-box looking area is what we're looking for. So with that light being down, it really is not going to be that big of a deal, right? But then what else are we going to see? Maybe somebody kneeling, right? So not everybody's standing straight up, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like hiding, you're going to notice more stuff kneeling. But at least we'll pick that up, and then from there, you can raise up and finish identifying whatever it may be.
Cool.
Does that answer your question? Okay, cool. You brought a great point coming out of these rooms, right? So now that the rooms, the lights are on, what you say that again when you came out of the rooms, now you're backlit from the room, so you probably want to.
Yeah, so we're making do with what we have, but it's light outside. And the case could also be there's a car outside with headlights on, there's street lights.
Yeah.
Your neighbors have their floodlights on. But yeah, if I'm exiting that room and I am concerned about a threat, not just turning that light on for you to see, but because I'm backlit as well. Same principle as if you're coming down the hallway and you're backlit behind you, you're, as mentioned, trying to stop someone from just poking their head out. You're suppressing them with your light.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So probably a good idea when you come out of there. Once you're looking, see what you need to see. But once I cross that threshold, I'm probably going to keep it on for a second, right? If my light's moving, you know, you can probably keep it on. But if I'm stopped, I probably.
Das ist der Punkt halt. Es geht wirklich nicht darum, in Dauerfeuer alles niederzuballern oder sonst was. Nein. Wenn ihr schießen muss, ist es eher, wenn ihr ein Messer eine offensichtliche Gewalt auf euch ausüben, weil dann handelt die Notwehr. Wenn ihr aktiv ihn suchen geht und ihn einfach ins Bein schießt, ja, könnt ihr es vielleicht auch noch beurteilen, er ist ja in mein Haus eingebrochen, aber ja, es ist schon ein bisschen schwerwiegender. Aber wenn er aktiv auf euch angreifen wollte und ihr dann reagiert habt, dann ist es was anderes. Oder ihr es interpretiert habt, dass er euch angreifen wollte. Und ihr wirklich habt versucht, die Situation, wie ich nochmal erwähne, die Situation zu kontrollieren und nicht zu eskalieren. Also wirklich einfach nur, ihr müsst die Kontrolle haben. Okay, gut, klaut eure Fernseher, okay, nehmt das, geh bitte wieder, alles gut. Dann müsst ihr einfach eure Versicherung melden und fertig. Das ist halt so. Die Polizei, Anzeige und so weiter wird auch natürlich gemacht, weil das ist ja illegal, wenn jemand einzubrechen und wenn er halt erwischt wird, dann hat er ein Problem. Aber es lohnt sich nicht, euer Leben aufs Spiel zu setzen, nur weil ihr jetzt gerade den Held spielen wollt oder jemanden unbedingt umlegen wollt. Es bringt es nicht. Ihr wollt die Situation kontrollieren und nur, dass es halt dass ihr eure Familie und eure Geliebten schützt.
I want to turn it off, you know, for certain reasons. There's, let's say never and never say always, right? It's kind of the same concept. So I hate giving too many absolutes, but it's just generally speaking, that would have been a good point, like you're talking about, to kind of keep it on, because you are backlit. But other than that, guys, I mean, we can argue like which one should we have done first and come here and do that, but like, hey man, like it's, you were right in the way you did it and you were right in the way you did it. And the fact of the matter is, this isn't real. We're in a house practicing, you know what I mean, and talking about it. So if this had happened, then Drew would have been right. But if this situation was set up slightly different, then Josh would have been right. You know what I mean? So as long as you have a
Wie heißt es so schön? Keep the job done. Also schau, dass die Arbeit gemacht wird.
reason for doing what you're doing,
Wie du es machst. Es gibt viele Varianten.
that's fine, right? If you can justify what you're doing, honestly, not, you know, like some people do, like honestly justify why you're doing something, then it's probably okay. As long as it doesn't violate any principles. So anyway, yeah, man, that's pretty much it. It's, to me, it's fairly simple.
Genau, was er sagt. Also so, wenn man sich das begründen kann, warum mache ich das und weshalb mache ich das jetzt nicht, dann ist es ja auch ein guter Punkt, weil dann hat man die Situation analysiert. Ein Debriefing.
And it's just getting used to that. So know those little principles we talked about, you know, what we're doing, why we're doing it, when we're doing it, and then how, and then put yourself in those different kind of situations or setups throughout your home or whatever it may be, and just work through that, right? Be like, does this apply here? Yeah, it does. Does that make sense? Great.
Yep.
So fair enough, guys. Anything else?
No, I think you hit on the fundamentals and the principles and the different ways that you can approach things and when and why.
Was denkt ihr? Schreibt es mal in den Chat. Denkt ihr, das sind gute Tipps, schlechte Tipps? Oder findet ihr das ja ganz kritisch? Weil in gewissen Regionen kann es sein, dass die Polizei braucht, bis sie da ist. Das ist das gleiche wie im Ersten Hilfe. Wenn jemand zum Beispiel eine Arterie verletzt hat, braucht es auch eine halbe Stunde vielleicht, bis Hilfe da ist. Und da müsst ihr halt schon als Ersthilfe können reagieren, um ihnen das Leben zu retten. Das ist halt der Punkt, was ich hier vermitteln will in diesem Video. Findet ihr solche Sachen interessant und gut?
I guess all that's left is probably practicing this stuff at home and knowing how to read the light in your home, knowing how to set up.
Ein Laserpunkt ist nicht gut, nein. Ein Laserpunkt ist mehr zur Kommunikation da. Zum Blenden kannst du ein bisschen verwenden, Schränke, aber besser eine gute Lampe.
You know, lamps and lights and then your video that you did several months back on knowing your home and setting it up to be, you know, defendable. So
Fair enough.
Vielleicht kannst du ein bisschen den Gegner damit verarschen, aber alles ist.
Did you guys read any of the comments on that?
no.
Oh, dude.
I'm gonna have to go look.
So I have a question for you guys. So a lot of people had wrote,
Was meinst du damit?
well, this is all dumb. You know, what was on the video that with you guys actually talking about, you know, pawing out the door, cleaning the house, whatever. They kept saying putting mirrors inside. What did you guys think of that?
I mean, I understand, it makes sense, but mirrors are also both ways.
Thank you. Yeah.
Definitiv. Ein Spiegel kann in beiden Richtungen gehen, ja.
So, like, yeah, I get it. It's cool if try it.
Yeah. I don't want to live in a fun house, first of all, with mirrors all over and around every door, because people will be like, what kind of weird, creepy shit are you into?
Zweitens macht es den Raum größer und macht es auch verwirrender.
Right? You know, but like, my first thought was, oh, then they can see me and then they can prepare for me. It's like, yeah, but you can see them. I'm like, shut up. Like, I don't know. Like, man, it didn't make a whole lot of sense to me. But anyway, okay,
Ist nur die Vorwarnzeit größer.
cool. I was just making sure there wasn't something I was missing from that last bit.
The comment we got the most on your video, I know this may make this video a little bit long.
Also eine Privat-Alarmanlage. Ja und nein. Sagt ihr, habt eure beste Alarmanlage, ist euer Ohren und euer Telefon. Und wenn ihr auch eine Alarmanlage habt, ja klar, ist immer gut, um das Haus abzusichern, dass jemand halt nachschauen geht, aber ist halt gut und nicht gut. Es ist, ja, teuer, aber man kann es verwenden natürlich. Es ist aber sauteuer. Müsst ihr euch auch leisten können.
Longer is how do you go down?
Also ich würde mir erstmal die Basic Taschenlampe besorgen, bevor ich sowas leiste. Genau wissen, wo einen Plan haben und dann kann man das noch als Upgrade nehmen. Ich sage, wie ist es eben auch Militär? Man hat zuerst das Gewehr und man optimiert die Sachen um diese Waffe. Und nicht, man optimiert seine Ausrüstung und dann holt man die Waffe. Das funktioniert nicht.
Down the stairs.
Oh, yeah.
Which is like, to me, it's like, you walk down them just like you would a hall.
Yeah, it's tough to see as much as you can and go downstairs. You know, like
Well, are you doing a scamper to get down as quickly as possible, or are you like peeking under?
I'm gonna peek under. You know,
Okay,
like
yeah.
look down, peek under. But you know, at that point, you kind of got to just get down there and see as much as you can, but just keep fluid movement. So, but yeah, that's about it.
I've been going down on my tummy.
Oh, the sled technique. Yeah, very popular in the Middle East. Yep.
See, I prefer you put your butt up on the railing and then and throw a leg over and
Sehr gerne.
you slide down, and then the hilt of it will catch you in the crotch, and it stops you in the perfect spot, and you can pivot around that and shoot 360.
I hope someone films that and tags you guys in it. I hope they do.
Well, I already know what our next intro is going to be for the next CQB video. So.
Well, as I'm sure you guys know, simply watching a YouTube video is not really going to get you better. So make sure you're getting out and trying this stuff. You can even...
Definitiv, sage ich euch auch immer, trainiert diese Sachen. Wenn ihr nur darauf Theorie und sagt, jetzt habe ich alles, ich habe alles gehört, was bringt das? Holt euch etwas, wo ihr damit trainieren könnt, solche Sachen ein bisschen verfeinern könnt, dann wird ihr besser und auch realisiert mehr. Weil die Theorie kann man sich alles vorstellen, aber wenn man es wirklich in die Situation ist es nochmal was ganz anderes. Und das ist wichtig, dass ihr einfach mal für euch ausprobiert, ein bisschen trainiert. Genau. Ob es mit Airsoft, mit dem Reale oder auch mit Gegenständen ist. Aber es ist, ich denke, die Zeiten werden ein bisschen unruhiger, wenn ihr euer Haus zu verteidigen könnt. Habt ihr schon eine gute Basic für die Zukunft. Und das ist mal die Basis. Zuerst mal die Familie schützen, danach kommt vielleicht noch der Staat und dann geht das weiter, genau.
Grab a buddy, have him hide in your house somewhere, and clear your own home. It's a pretty fun thing that Drew and I and Nick do every once in a while, just to kind of set the cameras down and just go goof around. Search your own home and just start with some of the basics. Now, beyond that though, Drew Estel owns Bear Solutions, if you didn't know already, and he offers professional classes on this kind of stuff. So, Drew, do you have classes coming up? Do you have classes open? Are they LE, military only? What is it that you do with Bear Solutions?
Yeah, so we just put up the 2024 calendar, so that's on the website. So we're going to be actually going to Texas this year. Texas, Utah, Arizona.
So, das ist, glaube ich, Werbung für USA. Falls ihr USA lebt, könnt ihr es gerne noch fertig schauen. Genau, da haben wir es.
That's great. I think that would
Maybe
wins.
too much.
So, danach haben sie noch. Ja, was denkt ihr im Chat? Meist interessant, lehrreich? Würde mich noch interessieren, genau. So, tun wir mal das rein, raus. So, war das lehrreich? Da haben wir es nochmal. Könnt ihr auch kurz mal abstimmen. Und dann verabschiede ich mich. Ich denke, ich komme wieder online um 19 Uhr. Dann werden wir wieder ein bisschen mehr militärische Sachen angucken. Ich muss mal gucken, was jetzt sich gerade in der Weltpolitik abspielt. Ich glaube, da ist nochmal was passiert. Und dann schauen wir uns mal an. Und dann vielleicht wieder ab 22 Uhr noch ein paar reale Einsätze gucken und da noch die Analysen rausnehmen. Und dann, genau, sind wir, glaube ich, mal heute mit dem Tag fertig. Und dann schauen wir mal, was wir heute rausholen können. Will nicht mehr viele Stunden, bis ich monetarisiert bin. Deswegen, wenn ihr mich unterstützen wollt, lasst gerne ein Like und ein Abo da. Schaut auch ein paar andere Videos, das hilft mir aktuell am meisten. Und ja, dann freue ich mich bis heute Abend und schaltet ein. Bis dann. So.